Omeni Pahombe Angcho Nama Tenzin Tenzin Gon Anga Kashesu Tela Tata Tsima Zeja Pavani Kami Tata Drupchi Kami Nange Jetang Drupchi Zetamshi Gomba Soso Yori Nang Gomba Tawaksin Yori Mipantron Kudramra Mamboso Zetamshi Mama Shatsari Takunana Yori Tatan Important Tsima de Tapandiri Tang Papa Dukiut Tsima Zeja Papa Zojo Yori there it is Tsima Zeja Papa Latini Nang Sansuk de Papa Sawa Kwashi Papa there's some corner there's some Nang Sansuk Santa Sawa Tawaka Tagong Tawakang Gomba Majority Rwashi Papa there it is Sansuk Sem Sabatsemi but they Sanuk Sem Papa there it is Telegraph Tsima Zeja Papa say it in Nang things in Georgia Della Depa Mugu Delitin Sonanga Tosa Watella so top Dachim body then Genji this somebody say na say top the Mazis are legend say Tammy number Saji the let's say Tamji the Colosseum Jiguri and the Bon something you call Gomjaya. Lokatunaj or Rodonsia, Daldobara Soba, like Givishi and Rodantia. There is our legend called the Terran Jujiko and Jutin Kosawat and then look at the Sawata, till Hakan and to the you Kusum to the you what is our legend called also Colosseum de Tama, Tinigian, then say Tabi did. Don't top already. Same did the Dandi Ibolo Sabat and Higi, Shenkomar Tebata gave a top check. Young woman, some Higi that gave it tap me. They did it in round the chicken body, Chawon the show, round the chicken with Danji and Chawon the show. Shenkomar Tebati, young woman and Higi, the top ramery, Jutin Sawatam, Jutin looked at Jim down the Dagatan, but the tapping it somewhere. The Sentima Zeja Pramandi, and this our legend color and revival.
So Dharma friends continue to visualize single pointedly while I say a few words. So regarding the material kila of science, it is used during in the context of practice when we engage in a retreat or a great accomplishment retreat. And each of different retreat settings has their own intent or view and different visualizations. And we spoke about that a lot in the past. It's also in the book. So we use the material kila of science as a support for us to recognize this is Vajrakilaya. I am practicing Vajrakilaya. And so then often we consider this material kila as the most important. And it is true, it is important, but it is the outer. The outer kila is the material kila of science. The inner kila is the bodhicitta kila. And the secret kila is the wisdom awareness kila. So on the inner level, we have bodhicitta and the view. Or as we mentioned the other day, the view or the wisdom awareness kila is related to the unchanging nail of meditation, of the 4 nails that we mentioned. And then through the material kila of science, we accomplish actual activities. So the material kila is an external support for our inner samadhi. And what we need on the inner level is also a mind of faith and devotion and a vast accumulation of merit. Lord Jigten Songön had said, when engaging in activities, everything you do should become an accumulation of merit, a skillful means. And in this way, activities are accomplished spontaneously. Everything that we do can also be summarized into 3 wheels. First, there is the wheel of abandonment, which is the wheel of meditative concentration or meditation. And then there is the wheel of hearing, which is to study, to learn about the Dharma. And then there is the karma wheel of activity. And that refers to any activity, any Dharma activity, also in a mundane sense. For example, we are building temples or stupas or setting up representatives of enlightened body, speech, and mind. So all of such activities become skillful means to accumulate merit. So the skillful means, in brief, is it becomes an antidote to self-grasping. So therefore, the skillful means really is love and compassion. When it is directed toward higher beings, it is faith and devotion. And when it is directed toward sentient beings, it becomes love and compassion. And these skillful means cause the ice block of self-grasping to melt and Buddha nature to reveal itself. So there are many different methods, but they arise from faith, devotion, and compassion. Also, Sakya Pandita had said, no one follows the Dharma or engages in Dharma activity following also the worldly ways while engaging in the worldly ways. So the wheel of those 3 wheels, the karma wheel of activities, also is related to the material kila of science.
There's a reason the Drupon the Anthony Tama Papa and Gashimo Pedin do Yom Mari, the Ranji or Roma Tabjita, very Oripina, Benon Sanga Papa, the Georgia in the depths. They was a Papa Tsokang, the Koso Gawang, the Papa Tsokos the Dami. The dirty Roma Tabji Petso, Chimbuki, the leader Muso, the Tamo Papa Sadi, we should not know. The river John, the danger. The little amount of Jivan, don't level. Roma Tabji, the Koso, that Kosi Dopa, Ganga, counter Telatin by Tabji Dugan, those sometimes you can't. Telatin is somewhat and Kinky is so jewel, carry the shoulder. The little Ganga, counter tested the tongue for mother. Oh, very miserable colors, I don't know whether young, almost as well, chewing almost Sadina, the little joy of my petty tower. Ganga counter test to you, take 2 sugar. Telatin, the little Roma Tabji to the Papa, the chap or the Roma to Chowachi or Costo. The little tap and the tap of the Garchen Rinpoche, the little Zang, some pep, one, the little purpose and one, Junep, Desert Gawang, the little Hatan, Nandung Chembore, the little tap of the Joari, the little romantic Consolang, the Wado Kang, the little Papa and Dzambhala, the Chapkuri, the little Mambozi, the little Kangi Pina, the little they make with Papa, Bagos and Royal Mary. So, both to need Toman water, Papa water, territory, or Dita and Saridi. So, such a naturally. Dita is in a thought in those. This is the territory, is the Papa, the Jade Papa, Dina, leaves you going to chapter or some several thoughts, don't it?
Regarding the practice of the Vajrakilaya and the sadhana in general, initially I actually had no intention to broadly propagate these teachings, the Vajrakilaya sadhana, the Vajrakilaya practice. And it happened really naturally. The spreading of this sadhana, of this practice really happened naturally through the disciples' own intentions. And so they have translated the text and also created a book and so forth. And we have performed Gana Chakra feast offerings together. We have engaged in a practice together. And many disciples developed a very special experience when doing this practice. In the beginning, we didn't have a lot of people doing this practice together. We were maybe 20 or so, and then later were 15 more. And now there's like thousands of people who like to practice Vajrakilaya. And so the Vajrakilaya practice really was disseminated through the wishes of the disciples. And it is said that beings should be tamed according to their needs. And that is the skillful means, to do it according to their needs, with love and compassion. So first one enters a state of love and compassion, and with that mind one then benefits others according to their needs and wishes. For example, if you want to give food to someone and you tell them you must eat this sweet food, and they actually don't really want to eat that sweet food, and you try to make them eat it anyways because you think they should have it, then they won't be happy about it. So the point is that we have to know how to benefit them according to their needs and wishes. And it is through the disciples' wishes that the Vajrakilaya practice has really spread so widely. So some disciples practiced, a special experience arose in them, and then the sadhana was disseminated in this way. And then there are a few sections that I personally also added to complement the text, some very important sections to complement the main liturgy. For example, there is the lineage supplication, the bringing down of blessings, taking the empowerment, the consecration of the Kila, the amendment or restoration. The words in these sections of practice are very meaningful. And so that's why I added them to the main liturgy of the practice. And disciples then developed an experience in the practice and printed many of the books, of the sadhanas, and it spread around the world. And so we have to do whatever benefits others. But it was never really my intention that I need to spread the Vajrakilaya teachings, actually. But I had a connection to this practice since a very young age. When I was a young boy, I first started really to read and write with the Vajrakilaya sadhana. And I feel that now that it has become so popular, it's probably a sign of my own personal connection to it, because when I myself develop a great feeling, a great experience, then also others may experience similar feelings when doing this practice. And also this is related to the material kila of science, because naturally the enlightened activities of Vajrakilaya have been performed, have been spread around the world, because disciples have developed special experiences through the practice.
돌대장 셔들로 저들은 자 통과해요 그래. 셔를 돌대장을 옛날에 제일이 들이 드바보 당시에 초같이 가리 내가 탑 망감이 받지. 그거를 못 지나는 성과리요 그래. 얼로 먼저 니부 양지 줘도 상한도 양 남양은 되고 양도 되고 양도 되는 까지 센티시도 양으로 요래. 서자 탐지게 들지 로직 같이 온다. 또다 같이 오면은 이 조피티는 양은 진디디 즉 나도도 생은 좋고요. 이 초와 독거리들이 세 적들 이동을 적 나 잘하지니 자동 너는 생 초와도 나를 냈고요. 삼대 초와. 얘는 초와 독공이 지어요. 예를 들면 거를 못 지켜서 상가 주들 얼로 먼저 집을 양지 주소. 상가치 걸도 지서야. 대진이야. 강 상가 로미 걸어서 합치해서. 다 들들은 양들 로모를 되지. develop ta yi hla de hla chi ina develop de ba mo to develop to so develop to ta ki yin 참가 작을 로마한테 나는 것도 마찬 다른 참가 작을 그래. 그래 양이 이다치는 대단 가서도 같이 용만 돼. 로마데 생률 초하셔 그래. 그래서는 이제 develop는 레 칼라데나 야 레드 쪽부터 조골 필이 앙타본 잡을 칼라데라. 다 레드 앙타본 션 대사들 초마형이 봐. 너명이만 대자장선 지라사 말이 원래는 초만은지 브람리 양만 초만한데네. 그래 제가고 사업이 됐다가 탑을 되네. 탑이 좁은 정도인데 탑들이 semjiga juyidili saachukdili joko tab deri tab mangawaami bachiyo deri da pabad chadruwa hajjangli zangnangadi karchiyo joko korruga songnori pabasal hamde yedi pabasal hamde yedi tata di hla chikusungla shina deri tadi juyini da kabjolni songli songdom zerki jayini songdom zerki haa kosongna 오, 라, 적들은 사탕치들은 뒤도서 하고 그래. 빼감리지네. 빼를 다지지 이제 가해. 나그냥 막 적시나 첩티 동는 막고 막 동파량 동서 톱. 그래서 속을 제기 지디. 오, 라탐지 야와탐지 시험도 적기지 뒤도다 생각 소도. 오, 라, 적 냠스는 라탐지 저거도. 가리도 공마면 저 제라지네. 오, 라, 너디 장정만 되고 봐. 도지 참고도 못하지 도무지네. 생각 내려올 때네. 다 되는 배네. 이 피드 강리. 잠벌리는 나걸 다와 샤로나. 저거 또 차요. 나또 차들 그러지. 다 뭔가 탐이 디질은 늘 나와는 배 나와만 보지 차들 그러지. 오, 나디 라디가 걸 나디 라다지가 저라. 초티 똥이 말 나한테 잡잖아. 배티도 동다 공부하면 저래서做了해서 소도 저래서 될리다 라카리 드나 동다 하고 라테 드나 이거도 터지요 봐 될리다 내장 제반이 이 무드블마 와니지 야 퍼스널 야 될리지 잘때지 내장에게 배는 나도 은이 냠살이네 따지고 대치를 될리는 다다디 같이 다다당 하마슈요리 드질 참아 정도는 파바데 리마 책종을 초콜을 하고 많이 줘요. 페리디 라란 소속을 냐미기는 때 가장 로마 같이 사바고 오면은 들이 냐미게 그때 리마 책종 페고는 그 소속 와니데 이놈을 들이 좀 울서 안 되는 와니지 라는 나는 성는 소상나 파가냐니 말을 가디 tin적냐니 와니데 좀 우리를 말게这就没被谁了说他们这啥的人人这个哟说是他们的这个不对了这个哟哈过的啥的人的也没办法哦这里那刚人的大的也没同这讲生活边了哦我说了这个我说当你上去哦这个老板吃不完他炒龙家上面炒龙的需要我上家都哦这到哈过头过的这往里头了就用这些家伙的这里패고가 같이 지는 쇼는 패고나 마 패고가 되는 사람이 좀 홀서 왔다 완이 좀 이제 패 차송화 탐지나 양절 퍼는 양이지 자작하는 양이지는 그 초가 틀을 완이 제일 빼야 보고래 근데 이마가 앞뒤는 좀나 뜻이 말좀나 근데 마지막 될 완이지는 야고를 때 가서 자탑 받는 이제 로마탄 지는 양이 저걸 우리를 맞아 하자 자친 버려야지.
So all the various sadhanas that we engage in, the deities such as Dzambhala, Vajrakilaya, any deity, Vajra, all have the same essence. They all arise from Vajradhara. Vajradhara is like the crystal, and from the crystal, 5-colored rainbow lights emerge. And so when the practitioner engages in the practice properly, then as a special feeling and experience arises. And there are many skillful ways to make this experience arise. Guru Rinpoche had said that when engaging in the practice of as the secret mantra, the Vajrayana, it must be accompanied by melodic sound and melodic chanting, because that supports our single-pointed focus when we chant something in a pleasant melody. There's also a Western tradition. Often Westerners, when they want to relay a very important, very meaningful story, they often put that story in the form of a song and sing it in a very pleasant melody, because then the mind really hears the inner meaning of the words. So similarly, the practice must be engaged in with the 6 sense consciousnesses. We must completely experience the practice with all of our senses. On the outer level, for example, through the sense perception of sight, we see the pleasing form of the arrangements. And then on the inner level, we hear the pleasant sound that enchants our mind. And the feeling arises. And the feeling that arises, the special feeling that arises, is the love of the deity. So there's a great significance to chanting the secret mantra liturgy in a melodic way, the melodic sound, and accompanied by instruments and so forth. Then the blessings are said to be even greater. So it is important to engage in the practice exactly according to how it should be practiced. Even though the deity is always the same, it is said that it's not the practice that is principle, but it's the way in which we engage in practice that is principle. For example, many disciples are very interested in the Yamantaka practice. They all try to get into the Yamantaka Drupchen. And if last year they didn't get a seat, then they really try to get one this year. And the reason is because a special feeling has arisen within them. They have gained the experience. And the experience arises not because of a certain deity, but because of the way in which we engage in the practice. So, for example, take rice as an example, eating rice. Eating rice is supposedly the best food in the world. It's the best for your body. So if I think that this is the best food and everyone should eat rice, and I just tell you just eat the rice, but I just give them plain rice without any vegetables, any oil, any seasoning, then nobody will want to eat that rice. It tastes too boring. But then if I mix some salt or some sugar or some vegetable, some oil with the rice, then everybody will eat the rice. So we have to use skillful means to put bodhicitta into the mind streams of sentient beings. And that is also why the liturgy of the Vajrakilaya sadhana was complemented by different very important supplemental texts. Also, Jamgyal Kongtrul, as he had said in the liturgy of Vajrakilaya, the consecration of the kila is very important. And if you understand the meaning of contained within the consecration of the kila, you have really understood the ultimate view. In the tantra called the Tantra of the Union of the Sun and the Moon, it speaks about the 4 nails that bind the life force. And if you understand the meaning of those, then if you practice a single deity, you understand that you are actually practicing and accomplishing all the deities. So in the Tantra, it says regarding the unchanging nail of meditation of those 4 nails, it mentions that when the moon shines, then its reflection is reflected in thousands of water bodies. But when and during a solstice, so when Rahula eats the moon, then all of these thousands of moons have disappeared in an instant. And so how we understand this is that the deities within the expanse of primordial wisdom, all the deities are one. So if you understand the meaning of one deity, you practice and understand the meaning of all the deities. So this example is an example of the sun and the water, is an example of the unchanging nail of meditation. And sign of Vajradhara, or the Buddha Samantabhadra, an example of the natural state of your own mind. So, for example, in the sky, if you have one moon in the sky, and you have 1,000 different vessels of water, then you have 1,000 reflections of that one moon. And those who are ignorant will see 1,000 moons. They will think that there's a moon here and there's a moon there, and they think that there are so many moons. But actually, they are all the reflection of one single moon. And therefore, during a lunar eclipse, that when the actual moon becomes obscured, then all the 1,000 reflections of the moon also vanish in an instant. So this is an illustration of the nail of meditation, which is actually the principle, the most important of those 4 nails that bind the life force. And so if you understand that, then whichever deity you're practicing, you will attain the deity's blessings and siddhis, and the blessings of all the deities. So therefore, because of the significance of various sections of the Vajrakilaya practice, I've extracted some sections from the elaborate liturgy and added it to our sadhana, such as the taking the empowerment or taking up the siddhis and the consecration of the kila. The inner meaning of these sections is really very important, very profound. And I've taught on that extensively before. But maybe there are a few new disciples here. There's one thing actually I didn't mention yet this time around. And so that is, so if you have joined the Drupchen, let's say for a day or 2, and then you have to leave, it is okay to leave, but you should then end your practice as you leave with taking up the siddhis or taking the empowerment, and then you may leave. And then if you continue to engage in the practice on your own at home, just for 1 day, for example, then at the end of that session, you should always take up the siddhis or take the empowerment, which is contained in the sadhana. And really supplicate single-pointedly when you recite this section. And with the awareness that as I supplicate the deity to bestow siddhis, attainments, my mind and the deity's mind are actually inseparable. As it is said, from the beginning, primordially, you and me are indivisible, and so forth. The deity is inseparable from our Buddha nature. So recite the supplication knowing that my mind is only temporarily obscured like an ice block, but the ice can melt and I can attain enlightenment. So I just wanted to mention that because there may be a few new practitioners here, even though I have explained that in the past. So if you're here for the Drupchen and you have to leave early, then you should recite the taking up of the empowerment before you leave. And then after you have left, if you then continue to follow the practice through the live stream online, then after each session that you practice at home, you should also recite the taking up the empowerment or taking up the siddhis. However, if you're here for the entire duration of the Drupchen, if you stay here for 7 days or so, then we will only perform that taking up of siddhis or the empowerment on the last day. So So I'm mentioning this because there may be a few newer disciples, but this is how we should engage in practice on a continuous basis. And so these sections in the end, taking up the CDs and also the consecration are really very precious.
Oh, Nima Terma Catering, Caterson, Yogi, Nima Kama, Tema, Kakayo, Mari, Large Chepar Yomer, Dotago Cheparmato. There's the things of Lamni, but Dakortan, you come here to the Tema in Koto, Lomachal, Lady Beer, so in Yansi Igore, Three the report to the Rosonne, Cars on the Jinchip, but thank you. This is the Rumataji, Tata, so so pen lang pan currently choka taking and making one in the professional body to the young they keep him your anything something job.
And so when we had the practice done in Taiwan over the live stream, 60 countries, disciples of 60 countries joined the practice. And so I felt that so many people have connected to this practice. And so that must be the result of having continuously done the practice. And so that is why I feel strongly that if I do not engage in the practice, it would all be empty. And that is why I engage in this practice continuously, day and night. I always have the Vajrakilaya liturgy recording going on a loop, on a recording. And I always practice Vajrakilaya. And I need to practice because all of these disciples are looking at me. And if I don't practice, it all becomes empty. So that is why I'm continuously engaging in this practice. And also what is unique about the Vajrakilaya practice is that it combines both the oral transmission, the Gamma, and the treasure teachings, the Dharma lineages. They are not actually separate. The Gamma and the Dharma are not separate. There's no difference between deities either. There are some different sadhanas, but the deities are the same. And so in any case, I'm playing the recording of the liturgy continuously day and night, because otherwise it will all become empty and I have to consider karma, cause and effect. And I have to engage in practice since I propagate this practice. And this is a practice that I have memorized since I was a very young child. And wherever I go, I always bring that with me, that recording, and play it on a loop all the time. And so in a similar way, the disciples, whether you are here or you're practicing from elsewhere, whenever you engage in a Vajrakilaya practice, practice the taking up of the empowerment or the siddhis and the Vajrakilaya consecration. And in this way, train your mind in the visualizations contained in these practices continuously. That's very important to sustain a stream of practice. So for today, I stop the teachings here.
Papa chung de didi papa de sersom ne wan custom so bari tatong de custom to de chung gang de didi hajan chung da bo ja gori xiu pa de kong dan da ne ka pe gang ne didi chung slap de kwa chi tong ne nang le de chi bo yang na cho ge de ki chi mo
And so also you have your kila, your material kila that you're using as a support for your practice. And often people's kila is quite large. But if it's really large, it's really hard to bring that with you whenever you travel, whenever you go somewhere. So if you have a large purba kila, you can just leave that at home on your shrine. And when you go around or go traveling, then you can just keep with you a small representative of the kila, like the size of the wisdom being, a thumb joint size, very small, just so that you always remind that of the practice. And for example, the three-sided shaft of the kila reminds you of the three kayas, which is the ultimate fruition. Ultimately, we attain the three kayas. So when you go around, always have a small, maybe inch size, thumb joint size kila with you. But there's no need to carry the large purbas kilas with you wherever you go. You can just leave that at home.
From the mantra garland, light rays and a second garland issue forth, passing from my mouth into the mouth of the consort. The self-resounding mantra proclaimed by the inconceivable dakas and dakinis in the consort's four chakra arouses the mind stream. From the consort secret place, the mantra garland enters my vajra, and the deities residing within my channels proclaim the sound of the mantra. I visualize the mantra garland dissolving ceaselessly into my heart.
Om Vajrakilaya Gawang Ho Gadam Kayen Zayen Benzaye Anse Aparanjede Marasena Tamartanai Sarvam Bene Bang Pe Om Vajrakilaya Gawang Ho Gadam Kayen Zayen Aparan Dhammardhanaye Sarvam Bene Bhavon Ve Om Vajrakilaya Gawang Ho Gadam Kayen Zayen Benzaye Anjade Aparanjade Marasen Dhammardhanaye Sarvam Bene Bhavon Ve Om Vajrakilaya Gawang Ho Gadam Kayen Zayen Benzaye Anjade Aparanjade Dhammardhanaye Sarvam Bene Bhavon Ve Om Vajrakilaya Gawang Ho Gadam Kayen Zayen Benzaye Anjade Aparanjade Marasen Dhammardhanaye Sarvam Bene Bhavon Ve Om Vajrakilaya Gawang Ho Gadam Kayen Zayen Benzaye Anjade Aparanjade Bene Bhavon Pe Om E Ga La E O Ang Ga Ga Nga Ja Nya Da Da Na Da Da Baba Baba Ma Yara Lava Shakaza Ja Oma E O Re Re La La O Ang Gaga Gaga Ja Da Dana Da Hana Baba Baba Yara Lava Shakaza Ja Oma E O Re Re La O Ang Gaga Gaga Jahanya, da hana, Papa Baba Ma, Yara Lava Shakaza Hakya Sova, Banza Sato Samayo, Mano Benza Sato de Noba, Danda do Nebava, Sudekayo Nebava, Subajayo Nebava, Anura do Nebava, Sarvasi de Mebayaza, Sarvakama Sudan. Jidam Jayam Guru Hong Ha Ho Bangal Sarva Tatanga Danza Manunza Benza Bava Ma Samaya Sato Om Benza Satwa Samay Manu Balaya Benza Satwa Dinopa Tita Dome Bava Sudeka Om Subajayo me baba, Anurakto me baba, Sarvaside me bayata, Sarvakarma Sujan, Chetam Hyayam Guru Hong Ha Ho Pangave, Sarvata Tanga Dandama Sato Om Benza Satva Samaya, Manupalaya, Benza Satva Dinopa, Titan Ludo me baba. Sudagayo me bava, Sobajayo me bava, Anurakto me bava, Sarvaside me payata, Sarvakarma Suzan, Chetam Hyayam Guru Hong Ha Ho Pangaven, Sarvata Tanga Dambedzaman, Benza Bava Ma Samaya Sato, Om Yeda Ma Heda Padbava Heden Tuchen, Tatanga Do Heyo Vaden Tuchen, Naroda Vambodi Mahashamana Yesova Omeye Dharma Heda Padbava Heden Tuhan Tatanga Eyova Den Tuhan Zayo Naroda Vambodi Mahashamana Yesova Omeye Dharma Heda Padbava Heden Tuhan Tatanga Do Eyova Den Tuhan Zayo Naroda Vambodi Mahashamana Parje pervelai toije Zenai song wen jui bamber Gasong toyan teledo Ba ming gandra nyam jaja To dia Page 36. Lama Renje La Dan Kan Ro Dam Je Nam Go Lo Men Je Do Da Wang Ge Den Yen De Dem Ne Jian Ko Ne Da Nam Yo Ba Nao La Xin Jian Be Jian To Ze Wa Jian Be Go Ma Sorwa mene paho